I mean by red flags. They're the warning signs that may lead you that something is wrong, such as fraud. Okay, let's go through some of these red flags. Borrowing money from coworkers. Creditors, collectors appearing at work. Oh, there's the gambling habits again. I got to fund my gambling habit somehow. Excessive drinking. Okay, bragging about significant new purchases. I had an assistant investigator on this one before. That AP clerk was bragging to her coworkers about all of what she was buying and so forth. So, kind of interesting there. Easily annoyed at reasonable questioning. Hey, can you go get me the P&L? What? What P&L? Okay, other red flags. We've got providing unreasonable responses to questions. Okay, you're asking your bookkeeper or someone in charge of the finances, to get you some information, and they're giving you some feedback, and whoa, they just don't make sense. Okay, refusing vacations or promotions for fear of detection. That's a big one. That's a big one. And then carrying unusual large sums of money. I got a lot of cash here. Oh yeah, arrest of controller on charges of patronizing a prostitute. Have you heard of that one? Well, it has happened in January. The controller was arrested. The owner got wind of it, and so he hired some consultants to perform a forensic examination of the books. And lo and behold, they uncovered $1 million fraud going on for over 4 years. Okay? Watch for those red flags. Anything unusual. It just doesn't seem to be right. Yes, sir. You have a red flag.
Moving to Costa Rica.
Oh, okay. Other fraud danger signals. High personal turnover in your company. Why is that one? Well, there's no stability. No one knows who's doing what, pretty much. So, if there's a high turnover, there's a risk. And and coming from my background as a I've worked on financial audits, that's a high risk. Okay, when an audit team goes in and the company's external auditors go in to audit the company's financial statements, that's a high risk. So, low employee morale. That's a big one too. Gotta keep those employees happy. All right, no supporting documentation for adjusting entries, incomplete or untimely bank reconciliations. Hey Ed, you got the latest bank reconciliation. Well, here's 2008. Okay. Increased customer complaints, and normally you'll hear that in your AR department. Or, customers who are not saying that they're paying their bills to you, but it's not showing up on their statements. And using duplicate invoices to pay vendors. Okay, here's some internal control suggestions. Require those mandatory vacations. Separate check preparing from check signing. That's a big one. Of course, for small companies, small to mid-sized companies, you may have the active owner involved, which, and that's the owner, they're doing both, that's fine. Document proper segregation of duties. I strongly encourage that to be done. And then, of course, that should strongly be adhered to. And, if employees are not, if there's employees that are not performing or not doing or adhering to those segregation of duties, come on, they should be reprimanded for that. Or they should be fired. We're talking about a company's financials, or a company's money. It's serious stuff. Look what's going on. We had just talked about the fraud in the news. It's serious stuff. Require original documents for all bills, and changes in vendor information should be verified. Independently review bank reconciliations. That needs to be performed independently. Other ones, like routinely compare check payees with the check payees on your within the accounting system. Okay, do you get that? you know, you might input something in the accounting system to vendor ABC company, and they may take the check and wash it out and put their company on there, or shell company, or their name. Okay. Maintain documents that provide an audit trail, and you know, you got no time to monitor. You know, monitoring has been a big issue on these frauds. And I understand that companies and businesses, you know, the owners, they have a passion of bringing in the business, but they don't have time to monitor the books. Then maybe you need some help, such as an internal control consultant or something. Okay, now let's talk about some anti-fraud programs. Now these are ones for larger companies. So they've got an active board, they've got an active audit committee, they've got an internal audit department, they've got the corporate governance structure intact, and then they've got a corporate culture where we're talking about the code of conduct that's documented, the tone at the top, and so forth. And they've got a whistleblowing hotline. For smaller companies, you've got to have the active owner. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's got to be an active owner involved. You've got to, you know, there's that corporate culture that we talked about for larger companies. The owner needs to have, there needs to be a financial acumen of the owner himself. And when I talk about financial acumen, a financial keenness and awareness of the financial accounting records. Independent bank or independent review of bank reconciliations, that needs to be done. Screening applicants, background checks. Normally this isn't done for smaller companies, but you know, there needs to be an effort to do that. And then of course if it's a one-person shop, the controller does everything, but remember the active owner needs to be performing that monitoring. Because this is, you know, the controller finds out no one's monitoring what he's doing, what's going to happen? There's the opportunity to commit fraud. Alright? Alright, so any questions? Any other questions?
When they say like it was $1.5 million fraud, are they pretty sure that they got all the money? I mean, if it's the exact amount, or do you think there's more?
Oh, there's always a chance for more, because they're not going to fess up for, you know, any more than what they've been found. Okay, but it's going to be pretty close. I mean, I know on one case that I had worked on, the investigators talked to the AP clerk, found a check, and she said, "That's the last one. I only wrote that one." Well, they found another check, and she confessed to that. Says, "I promise you, that was the only one." So they came to me. I performed a data mine or data mined the system for some information and came up with 20 more. So, and what she was doing, how to hide that information, she was paying her husband for training costs, and how she would do this, she would transpose letters, numbers, and the name and address, okay, to throw you know, anybody off on such as an exceptions report. If you know, if you're looking at a listing of disbursements, they would be all grouped together, sorted alphabetically or some sort. Well, she was throwing that off by doing all the transpositions. Okay, but like in the address, the postman knew, oh, this is just an error. Delivered it to the right place. So, any other questions?
How about one more question? Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
In my banking days, I used to lend money to smaller companies. And the biggest problem I had is when you point this out to these smaller companies, it was rarely that they even listened. They wanted to believe their employees are doing the right thing. And I don't know.
Then they learn the hard way.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully with all the fraud in the news, I mean, it's just been rampant. And it's just, you know, you've got to believe that it's going to happen to you, because it's been happening a lot lately. So,
Okay.
well, here's my contact information, and if you have any other questions, I've got cards up here. Just let me know, and if you have any further questions after this presentation. And thank you for this opportunity to talk to you.